One feels like a giant shit post, and one is more like
TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast, with your hosts, Connor O'Neill and Matthew Hughes.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Nerdy Misfit Podcast.
Hello.
And welcome back, Gray. Back-to-back episodes.
Back to back to back to back.
Yep, so we brought on Gray to help, I guess, create a wider spread of anime watching experience so we can try and create our own voting ballot for the Crunchyroll Awards, which has finally come. It's anime award season, I guess. So, yep, we're gonna go through. Obviously, we have not seen everything. We'll obviously go through that as we get to each category, but hence why we brought Gray on to help try and spread how much things have been seen.
Yeah, it's not like I've seen everything either, but
We should
I've
also
seen a good majority.
We should preface by saying we do not want to. While we're voting for Anime of the Year, we're going to try to avoid giving out that award on other categories unless very much it was just so far in the lead, because we don't want our whole ballot to end up being one anime.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and recognize other anime, and Anime of the Year should go without saying that it's a culmination that it obviously, if it's Anime of the Year, it's probably the best drama, or if it's an isekai, it's the best isekai, as well as maybe potentially has the best OST. Like, all of that goes into making what is the best anime of the year. So it's probably not, whatever we give Anime of the Year, it's not going to fill out our whole ballot. That's all I'm going to say. I think we are all on the same page for that.
Yep.
Okay. So I guess, should we just dive right into the creating the ballot?
Yeah.
I feel like these are pretty well all the same that we're used to. I don't think I recognized anything different from last year or the year before for categories. But yeah, we're gonna jump into Film of the Year. Obviously, you're not gonna say best for last, as they say. So, for some of the categories, Crunchyroll does have a little information tab over each category where you can kind of get what they are saying the criteria is for said individual category. So maybe for some of the ones where we're like, what truly is a slice of life, or like what is they're looking for in action, we'll maybe read it. But I think Film of the Year goes without saying what Film of the Year is. It's the best anime film of the year.
Pretty straightforward, yeah.
Yeah, so without further ado, the nominees for Film of the Year are Haikyuu, The Dumpster Battle, Look Back, Mononoke the Movie, The Phantom in the Rain, not Phantom is the Rain, My Hero Academia, You're Next, Spy Family, Code White, and The Colors Within. So I believe Spy Family and My Hero are both non-canon, just fun films.
Yep.
Haikyuu was actually the continuation of the story, and I will say I was impressed. It was a very well done film. I liked some of the directorial choices. There was one scene where they cut the music and you just hear heavy breathing, and it's like a POV of a volleyball player, and I thought that was an extremely well done scene. But as far as my vote goes, I'm voting for Look Back. I don't know about you two, if you two have anything that maybe you feel deserves a little shout.
No, this is probably one of the categories I'm least familiar with. I don't watch actually a huge amount of anime films. So out of the things nominated here, yeah, the only one I've seen is Look Back, and I'm familiar also with the work, the manga as well. So I feel like it was pretty faithful and well done adaptation.
Yeah, they kind of extended what needed to be extended, and it was animated really well. It was by Studio Durian. Not much complaints. It was a emotional roller coaster, of course, if you're familiar with the one-shot story. Yeah, it was just a really well done movie. So we'll give this our vote. gotta acknowledge that we are voters.
Exactly.
Okay. Look back. Boom. On to the next category. Best continuing series. This also goes without saying.
Pretty straightforward.
Best continuing series. We got some heavy hitters in this one. We got My Hero Academia Season 7. We're starting to really build up to the climax of this whole My Hero arc. We got Bleach, Thousand Year Blood War, The Conflict. This is starting to become very Attack on Titan-esque with the titles. Oshinoko Season 2, Spy Family Season 2, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Hashira Training Arc, and One Piece. I'll let you guys say your piece.
For me, when it comes to a lot of these continuing stuff, some of which like speak for itself, and some of which I'm kind of just like, oh,
They're just there because they have the fan base. It feels like.
yeah. I was
right?
gonna say some haven't at least held up in my eyes, where I'm like, seeing them here on the it made this vote was a lot easier than a lot of the other votes, in my opinion.
Yeah. Matt?
Yeah, there was very little like secure competition. Like everything or a good amount of the stuff here continuing is like, oh yeah, it's always been like good, you know.
Yeah, some of
But-
these are like consistency, right? Like you're looking at Bones.
Yeah.
They've been pretty well, very consistent throughout their whole run of My Hero. Same with Ufotable for Demon Slayer.
Exactly, yeah.
And Wit, even though it's only season 2 of Spy Family, I mean, I think it's safe to say we all expect Wit to put out a very good whatever series they're working on. It's always going to be top quality. Matt, anything you'd like to say about the?
I mean, pretty well the same kind of what Gray's saying, where some of these are up here because of the fan base, for sure. In comparison to others, obviously, when you're dealing with like One Piece, Bleach, and My Hero, like even kind of Demon Slayer, but those are obviously farther into the series, where Oshinoku and Spy Family's only on season 2.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of shows you not necessarily how good the shows are, but definitely when you have 2 shows that are in here that are in season 2 in comparison to ones that are farther along, I think that's worth mentioning.
With that said, what are you guys feeling for votes?
I'm leaning more towards Bleach
Yeah, same.
for the main situation. The main thing here is they're doing very well on. It's an arc that everyone's like anticipating, and Bleach was also like, you know, kind of like hiatus ish.
Yeah,
there was not
it's
anime
very
coming
hype.
out for it, and it's like, and then it comes back with a bang. So,
And not just that, but Studio P creating a whole separate studio basically to handle Bleach alone with it, which is Period Films, which you can tell there's comparative to some of their other series, there does seem to be a little bit more attention to detail and fluidity throughout the animation quality for the Thousand Year Blood War as a whole. And it's only getting spicier, especially with the conflict arc that has begun. It's definitely ramping up for the Thousand Year Blood War arc. So I think a combination of both being really well done, but also in a really exciting moment within the story helps get my vote. Whereas I don't think Ufotable did a bad job by any means for Demon Slayer. I just don't think that the arc is particularly a, you know, groundbreaking arc. It's just a kind of a training arc to prepare for what we maybe will hope will be the big bang, but which will end up being a movie, but
Yeah.
will be hopefully really incredible. One Piece, I believe it's only Egghead Island, or majority of Egghead Island, I
feel like
think.
it would be, yeah,
and then
'cause-
the hiatus happened, so Egghead Island's fun, but I think Gray has his own opinions on some of the One Piece quality or art style changes as well that have come and gone. Obviously, they've been kind of rotating what the styles that they've been using for switching in Wano and then adjusting as people were not enjoying
I
all
don't
the
know.
particle effects.
Yeah.
They thought it was
Well,
too
I was
Dragon
gonna
Ball-y.
say what I described with One Piece is like improved in some areas and fallen in other areas, where I feel like before it was consistent, regardless of, you know, maybe it didn't have as high of highs with some of the animation, but it definitely didn't have as low of the lows that it has now as well in terms of quality. So
I think One
That's my
Piece
opinion
maybe
on
has
One
a good
Piece.
chance next year, depending on how because it's coming back, obviously. As of recording this, I think the first episode would have been released of its return, and we'll see if this break helped with that, with maybe some of the inconsistencies through the animation. Oshinoko, I just feel like it's decent. I think the people who love it are going to love it, and the people who are just not into it, or, the people that kept falling off during season 1, that's just the continued fall off. I feel like a lot of it's here just because of that initial hype it had in season 1.
Yeah.
And yeah, Spy Family, great show, fun show, definitely highly recommend. I just think the Bleach arc just helps it a lot.
I would agree with that. I feel like, especially with Bleach coming back, I feel like that's super big, considering it's the best continuing series. Like, there's a reason why it came back.
Yeah, I believe this is the third arc,
season,
third part, of the 1,000-Year Blood War, but they're doing well. On to best new series. This is another one that kind of goes without saying. It's the best new series, where we just had best continuing. Now we're in the first season of a show.
Yep.
We got some real steep competition, I think, in this one. Matt, if you want to go ahead and say the nominees.
We got Dan to Dan. We got Delicious in Dungeon. We got Free Run Beyond Journey's End. We got Kaiju number 8. We got Solo Leveling. And then The Apothecary Diaries.
It's worth noting that this is season 1 of Solo Leveling. We're coming off of all the hype from the end of season 2, but this is season 1.
Just season 1.
Yeah, this for me is a very tough category. There's a lot of really enjoyable series, some of which I thought ended up being better than I expected. So I think when it comes to my decision, it's going to be quite nitpicky, if you will, for the reasons of getting rid of some stuff. Gray.
Yeah, I could see the category being pretty tough, but there was one that I was always really kind of gravitating towards. But it almost everything here, I think, deserves to be here. There's nothing here that I'm like, oh yeah, that doesn't really need to be in this.
Yep, I mean,
everything here is super solid.
I'm going to say maybe a controversial take, which is my vote's not going to Solo Leveling. As
Same.
huge as the series is, and as fun as it is to watch, if this was maybe, best turn off your brain and just have a good time anime, that would for sure get my vote.
Yep.
But unfortunately for Solo Leveling, we have some stories in here that have some significant depth, as well as some immaculate animation and OSTs, etc. Kaiju number 8 was fun. Way better than I expected it was going to be.
That was my thing too, of like, I wanted to vote for Kaiju number 8 here, but obviously with the other big hitters, because I didn't go in with high expectations for that, because
I was expecting CGI monster.
That's what
galore.
I mean. I was like, this is not going to look good. It might look good for the first episode, and then it's going to drop off. But I was genuinely surprised on how well it kept up throughout the season.
I think my only nitpick for Kaiju number 8, which I did see a lot of online, was some of the character designs coming from the manga over to how they interpreted for the animation.
That's
for
fair.
the anime was not
what people wanted.
quite what people expected them to look like. And it looks like for season 2, they did make some changes to that, the character designs. So perhaps season 2 will be better. Freyrin, hard to find anything that I disliked about the series as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could say that it was a little bit slower pacing at the beginning. If you want to nitpick, like that maybe is it. Dan to Dan, I think Dan to Dan came in, and as weird as it kind of is just a really fun, action-packed, unique shonen, because it's got those romance elements. It's also not scared of being a little bit stranger than your typical show, and it was animated very well. Delicious in Dungeon, I've actually only watched the first half of the show. I have actually laughed out loud, which I feel like is pretty hard for a lot of comedies for Japanese anime. Sometimes I feel like it's just a translation thing where jokes just don't hit as well, or like having to rewrite a joke in English, it just does not have the same impact that it probably does in Japanese.
Yeah.
But I did find myself laughing at a lot of Delicious in Dungeon. But for me, my vote for best series, best new series is The Apothecary Diaries. What about you guys?
I lean as much as I actually do love the Apothecary Diaries quite a bit. But I did end up I do like Dan to Dan a little bit more. So that's where I kind of went with it. Like, there's so there is no wrong. I don't feel like that's the thing. There's things where I'm like, I don't feel like there's really a
Well,
wrong
it's just what you enjoyed
particular
the
answer.
most, right? And we're
Yeah.
three
So
people.
like, what about you, Matt?
I'll split.
Where'd you land on this?
Dan to Dan?
You also
Yeah,
put Dan
I
Dan?
haven't seen Apothecary Diaries, so I can't really say too much, but I'm more familiar with the other 5 that are on this list. I did put Dan to Dan specifically because when I read the description for Best New Series, even though it's pretty straightforward, they say these exceptional newcomers feature distinct narratives, innovative artistry, and memorable characters that set them apart, leaving viewers eagerly anticipating the next season. And I think when it comes to Dan to Dan, where I feel like there wasn't enough hype around Dan to Dan, like it did kind of start off like
We hyped it up
I know
on the
we
podcast.
specifically hyped it up, but obviously when we're doing this upcoming anime, Dan to Dan was like low on that list. I remember, so like seeing that on the list, A, is great in my opinion, but B, like their characters are memorable. They do set them apart, leaving viewers eagerly being like, "Okay, what's happening next?" As weird as this show is, I think it definitely does capture the audience's imagination of like.
I think you'll
creating that
realize when
world.
you watch The Apothecary Diaries that you are going to be in the same boat as that.
Okay, fair enough.
With very unique characters. At least for me, from all the shows I've seen, I've not seen quite the. There's nothing quite that I can say is that. Oh, it's just like that show.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gray, you've seen a few more, but do you get that feeling as well from Apothecary Diaries, where it's hard to pinpoint and be like, oh, that's just like this show. It's pretty. Got a
It's one of the
vibe.
show. It follows a more unique pathway than what I think a lot of people would anticipate, even from the initial descriptions of the show. But as I said, I love both series. I actually own the manga for both these series before the animes were even coming out. So I was just familiar with both.
All right, moving on. We have Best Original Anime. Matt, if you'd like to read the description.
Yeah, an original anime showcases storylines not adapted from source material like manga or light novels. It is a new creation. These original works of art mesmerize audiences with the quality of new stories. We have Buchigiri, question mark, exclamation mark, Girls Band Cry, Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night, Metallic Rouge, Ninja Kamui, and Train to the End of the World. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't remember any of these from when we did like the upcoming animes and stuff like that over like this year.
Mhm.
None of these I'm like, oh yeah, no, I remember talking about that one.
I've seen 3 of them.
Oh wow, okay.
I've only seen 2 of them, and by seen I mean watched episodes and dropped them.
Okay, so I've seen 3 of them. Metallic Rouge, I had high hopes for. It did not hit,
Okay.
unfortunately. For me at least, it
That's one of the ones I watched and dropped.
did not hit. Ninja Kamui had a lot of hype when it was first starting. Lost a lot of steam for good reason. It did have a bit of a it started off because I think it's the first 2 or 3 episodes they're so well animated, choreography is crazy. Kind of stops there, and then it almost turns into a mecha after that, and it kind of makes no sense, and you're like, huh.
But Ninja.
And that's the other one that I watched and then dropped.
So for me, my vote is going towards Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. It was fun. It was cute. Kind of focuses on all these, I don't want to say loners, but different.
Introverted people.
Yeah, introverted people. Who end up, they all have their own kind of thing they're dealing with. And they end up creating a virtual pop star, pop idol. It's like kind of an idol anime show,
Okay.
and they create like a virtual idol, and it has like The one girl is the singer, and she was in an idol group and got kicked out for, I'm not going to spoil anything, but for reasons. And then you have the one girl who's the artist, one girl who's helped making the music, and one girl who's helping with like the VTuber.
Okay.
And it's kind of a different take on an idol show. And it was decent. Like, I'm not going to say it's the greatest thing I've ever watched, but it was a solid. It's like a short anime, obviously, and it was acceptable.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, for me, I haven't seen the other
That's
ones,
the one it's
unfortunately,
going, I guess.
but this one's the one getting my vote.
Yeah. All right. Next category, we got best animation. I feel like this one's pretty straightforward. I don't really need to read the description for this one. It's just,
Yeah, obviously animation,
yeah,
bringing the
visually-
pictures to life,
Yeah,
and
they look pretty.
smoothness. Obviously would have it how it looks to people.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny. So these are the 6 that are on here. We got Dan to Dan, Delicious in Dungeon, Demon Slayer, Hashira Training Arc, Freerend, Beyond Journey's End, Kaiju number 8, and then Solo Leveling.
Which were all done well.
All done well. It makes me happy that Kaiju number 8's on here, for my own biased opinion. But
I was gonna say, and now this is kind of the point where we're gonna start to see a lot of familiar stuff on the voting.
Yeah, not surprising to
from
see
here.
affordable here, right?
Demon Slayer will always.
Trigger did Delicious in Dungeon, iconic studio, and from what I've seen of the show, there's not been really a poor point of animation to judge. Soul Leveling had its moments. Dan to Dan, I would say, was very consistent. Science Saru did a really good job. Not only did they do a good job in animation, but they did such a good job, and this goes like a shout out to the director, where it just felt like they got the vibe. They understood like the wacky nature of the manga, and they did a really good job of bringing that to life, I think. And then Freerun, I would just say consistency for Freerun, I think, is a good term. Great.
Yeah, some of like you're talking about some aspects of it. I will point out that I think actually Dan to Dan's first episode kind of made me a little bit afraid, because the very first half of the first episode had some pretty wonky stuff going on with the animation, specifically when the characters like walking down the hallway and things like that. It just looked really choppy and it made me very scared. But then it picked up in the second half, and then I didn't really see any issues afterwards. So maybe that's just me being nitpicky about that, but that's one of the things I noticed. Everything else, has been fine. I'm also nitpicky with Kaiju number 8. There's times where Kaiju number 8 just looked a little bit weird to me. Things didn't look all that well. It could just been some aspects of still frames. A lot of the action and everything seemed fine. But that's also why you said consistent, and that's kind of where I was leaning more so for everything for this, where the show that I would vote for just pretty well didn't have any real problems that I saw.
So is your vote going towards Freerun?
Yeah, that's where I would lean towards for best animation.
Yeah, I think for me, the other thing about Freerun was it could have potentially won best animation without even going into the second arc, which had a lot more action than we were used to probably with the series. And I think Madhouse really cooked in that second half as well. But even just the slower elements of the story were just beautiful to watch.
It was just aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, very aesthetically pleasing. So I don't think we feel bad about giving the vote to this. All right.
All right. Next one up, we got best character design. I feel like this one's pretty straightforward too. I can read the description.
Yeah, if you want.
This category celebrates artists who have either created iconic anime characters or breathed life into one from another source. Designer who comprehends the essence of character design, weaves narratives through the strokes of their drawings. It's a fancy.
Yeah.
We got Dan to Dan, Delicious in Dungeon, Demon Slayer, Hashira Training Arc, Freerun, Kaiju number 8, and the Apothecary Diaries. Personally, I mean, I've only seen 4 out of 6 of these.
I was gonna say I've seen all of them.
I've seen all of them. Yeah.
one of the ones that sticks in here that I kind of feel doesn't really need to be in here because it's been the thing is one of them's been around for so long.
We've seen,
like
yeah, they didn't introduce
Demon
new
Slayer.
characters. That's the thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say Demon Slayer. We've pretty well seen most of the characters in there, like,
Yeah.
and
If-
and we're familiar with how they look and how things are designed.
Yeah,
that
if it's a sequel series, I feel like you need to have some of
Brand
new
new
characters, right? Like new characters be like, hey, what do you think of these guys?
or like a huge stylization change,
Yeah.
or
Like a
like
Super Saiyan.
like the Toei changes for like One Piece.
Yeah,
There, it's
that's
like
fair.
you can be like, okay, we've changed a lot, but like I actually don't feel like anything's really changed that much from the in general. The Demon Slayer has been pretty consistent across all of the seasons, so that's where I'll stick about Demon Slayer. When it comes to Dan, I will say for like the more modern era drip, like Momo and Okarun definitely rock their
Outfits?
costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the outfits that they have in the show have been and even in the manga, it's always been a very standout thing that you're like, wow, these characters they got style. Um, and then
Delicious
for
in Dungeon was very
Oh, yeah.
like what you would expect, I guess, from a D&D party, for lack of a better description.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part, I didn't feel like anyone was very original, but they were fitting for their setting.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, there was it was fine. Yeah, I wasn't gonna. There's nothing super like stand out to me about anyone in particular. They all kind of fit their little roles.
What about Freerin and the Apothecary Diaries for you, Gray?
When it came to those two, I mean, Frieren, I pretty well don't really have any qualms about anything in the show. The characters look great, the outfits and everything that they roll with, like even the way that Frieren dresses is like iconic, and her carrying her suitcase and everything, like everything about that looks great. And then Apothecary Diaries, also holds a pretty special place in my heart because now we're actually getting into a different older. This is the setting for Apothecary Diaries is in like a fictional China era, like older Chinese era. So we get to see actually some more unique actual like outfits and stuff too, and I enjoy that. I enjoy seeing like
we get the different
older
outfits.
Asian outfits.
I think another thing for a point for Apothecary Diaries is they have even if we don't get introduced to necessarily all of the cast when it comes to all the different ladies and stuff, they all have their own unique style. You can tell like that who some of the women that are like who they serve because of how they're dressed, and then each of the head ladies kind of has a different style to them, which I think just goes to show like how much attention to detail went into both the manga obviously, as well as keeping that eye for detail within the anime. Yeah, so best character design, I lean towards Apothecary Diaries, but I would say that Dan's not that bad either, especially with some of the unique look of the villains.
I also would probably with this voting when I voted myself, I did lean towards Apothecary Diaries as well.
Okay, Matt, what vote would you give yours to?
I put Freerin.
Freerin?
I just think it it kind of goes hand in hand with like the way the animation looks, where the characters do complement the background and vice versa. I feel like sometimes when you're watching an anime, characters do bleed into the background,
Or you just get lost.
or you just get lost because all the characters look semi the same and stuff like that. Where when it comes to Freerin, again, I haven't seen Apothecary Diaries, but when you're watching Freerin, like all the characters to me, like they all stand out in their own way. It's easy to follow the story. You're easy to figure out who's who. So
yeah, definitely can't go wrong with, honestly, a lot of them. I think Kaiju number 8 has a lot of unique looking.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Obviously, at one point they're all wearing the same suits, so that's. But when it comes to like some of the monsters or the Kaiju, like
They're all unique
look good.
looking. Yeah.
Best director.
Okay. Yeah, these are directors work behind the scenes, conveying their vision to animators, making critical decisions, managing the creative aspects of production, the result, an approach that is uniquely theirs. I'm going to probably butcher all 6 of these names, so I apologize. We have the director of Dan Dan, which is Fuga Yamashiro.
Yeah.
Okay. We got the director of Demon Slayer Hashira Training Arc, which is Haru Sotozaki. We have the director of Freerun, which is Kichiro Saito.
Yeah, I think Saito.
We have the director of the One Piece fan letter, Megumi Ishitani. And then we have the director of Apothecaries, which is Norihiro Naganuma. And then the last one we have Delicious in Dungeon director, which is Yoshihiro Miyajima.
Yeah.
I think I pronounced those okay.
Close enough. Don't speak Japanese.
Yeah, I did my best.
Yeah, so no shock. We've got a lot of similar nominees from some of the past ones.
Good to see the One Piece fan letter up here.
Yeah, I guess the easiest one is if you're looking at it's definitely popularity and rating wise is like obviously I think a lot of people are going to lean towards Freerun for this, which is definitely understandable. I think, like I mentioned before, I think with Dan to Dan, I think the director definitely understood the assignment. Because it's one thing to just be like, okay, this is the manga, let's just show it in moving.
Yeah. Put some slideshows in here, call it.
But I do feel like they really understood the freak that is Dan to Dan, and they did a really good job with capturing it all, yeah. The essence that is Dan to Dan. So I want to give a big shout out to that. Pocket Theory Diaries, beautiful. Definitely just stunning show in general. I liked the dungeon more than I expected, and Demon Slayer is just like whatever.
We've seen it before.
It was an easy one. But yeah, the One Piece fan letter. The only thing that I would say is kind of a negative for the One Piece fan letter is it is just a 20-25 minute one-off.
Yeah,
where all of these are
full
seasons. It's the only thing I would say. On my personal voting card, I did vote for One Piece fan letter. I just thought it was really well done. It was beautiful. And it was really cool to see like a character like us in the One Piece world and how what's the going on is like.
How do you feel, Gray?
Well, for my personal one, I did vote for Delicious in Dungeon because I just felt that was a show that everything for what it is, I felt like everything kind of fell in place. Everything felt natural there. So I guess that's kind of where I was leaning with my individual vote. But there's so many of the shows are so well done that I could see them going anywhere. The only one I didn't really like.
Slayer.
Demon Slayer, but also to a degree, I'm not. Maybe I was not as into the One Piece fan letter as a lot of other people.
Fair enough. Matt?
I also put Delicious in Dungeon, actually, because above these, I was like, thinking about obviously Freerun is like pretty and stuff like that, and Demon Slayer, like we've said, but I kind of shoot away from One Piece fan letter for the exact reason that you kind of mentioned, where it is just a one-off episode, essentially.
Putting all that effort into 25 minutes and all the detail is a lot easier than trying to
do it in course of 12 episodes.
12 or 24 in some of these cases, yeah.
Where obviously I've only seen a trailer for Delicious in Dungeon, but like from what I've seen it looks fun. It looks like the story's pretty cohesive. Like it's pretty straightforward, but it looks lively.
Yeah.
And keeps you intrigued throughout.
Yeah, I'm okay with giving it to Delicious in Dungeon.
Which leads us to our next category, which is Best Background Art.
If you will, Matt.
This category celebrates the exceptional skill and artistry needed to craft the detailed, atmospheric and often
atmospheric.
Reading too fast here. And often breathtaking environments that serve as the backdrop for anime narratives. These backgrounds are crucial in setting the tone, mood, and setting of a series, enhancing the storytelling experience with their visual depth and intricate design, bringing anime to life. Nominees in this category are distinguished by their ability to create captivating worlds that resonate with viewers, making the fictional realms of anime feel as vivid and tangible as any real-life setting. And the nominees are Dan to Dan, Delicious in Dungeon, Demon Slayer Hashira Training Arc, Freerun Beyond Journey's End, Pluto, and the Apothecary Diaries. It's good to see a new one up here, Pluto. We
Yep,
haven't come
Pluto.
across that yet.
Which Pluto,
Well-
unfortunately, was kind of. It was in Netflix, right? I believe is where it is, and I do think it went over a lot of people's heads. Very well known manga. But I think it's also hour-long episodes, I believe. I can't remember how many it is.
I think it's only like 6 or so. Like it's a smaller one, is it not?
But either way, background art. For me, I'm leaning to the right 3, where I felt like I was in it. You know what I mean? Is like the best description. I felt like I was engrossed by everything, the story, but also just the world that the animators and artists created for us to be thrown into.
Yeah.
So personally, I would be okay with any of the 3 on the right, which is Delicious in Dungeon, Freerun, and the Apothecary Diaries. I lean personally more to the Apothecary Diaries just due to we see a bunch of different backgrounds within the estate, if you will, and also outside of it. But mostly just all the different rooms and the architecture. I thought it was I think if there's one thing that really the Apothecary Diaries has, it's just that it's gorgeous.
Yeah, the aesthetics and everything of the Apothecary Diaries. What I'll say is, because this is all, I lean heavily towards Apothecary Diaries as well, and the reason being is there's times where it's like, you could almost feel like you're actually like I'm in the.
You're in the building.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're in the what's it called? It's a I forget what they call it. It's not the inner palace. It's the outer palace. I don't know. But you're there with the characters. Like there's times where I'm like, man, I almost feel like I know kind of even the layout where you just see how
I'm here
when
at the
Ramai was like
baths,
moved around.
or I'm like, oh, we're here. We're at this section and it's massive. They definitely show like the blown out of the whole castle, not the right term, but yeah, like the whole situation that's going on. It's literally it's like a city.
Mm-hmm.
This palace is a city, and it's really well done. I assume yours is going to Freerun, Matt.
Mine was going for it. I mean, I've given my explanation through previous.
Yeah,
nominations,
I mean, Freerun's
but again,
also beautiful. We get to see multiple different settings.
exactly.
And yeah, I don't think they really missed when it came to cities looking both similar in feel because of the time that they're in, but also unique. You're in a different place. Even just like when they're like in the forest with like a hut. Yeah. It looks great.
We can give it to Apothecary Diaries. That makes the most sense based on your guys' review here.
Best romance.
All right. The 6 of them are A Sign of Affection, Blue Box, Making Too Many Losing Heroines, Ranma Half, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, and The Dangers in My Heart Season 2.
Scott Pilgrim.
That I knew that was here, but it totally just threw me for a loop as well.
Fun fact, Science Saru. Same people who did Dan.
Yep.
Yeah, this actually came out before Dan, and that's when
Everyone
a lot of
was
people
all,
when
excited, right?
Yeah. But the funniest thing is, this being here is a little bit strange because there's some people who would consider it not an anime. So
because it's a comic book that was animated by a Japanese animation studio.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, yeah, I do love Scott Pilgrim. I have yet to actually watch this, but I've only really heard good things about it.
I mean, original cast.
That's what's the selling point for me.
Yeah, it's fun that it's there. Does it get your vote, Matt?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't get my vote either. But cool shout out.
Cool shout out.
Exactly.
Fun show. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. Matt, have you even watched any of these romances?
I have not watched any of these romances. I know of one of them, and that's the one my vote went to.
So you voted Blue Box?
I voted Blue Box because I know the story, and
we've talked about it before.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, it's cute. I know it enough, so that's where my vote's going for.
Yeah, Blue Box definitely. First seasons had finished recently. It's 24 episodes. It's doing the classic romance where it's really dragging
about
on.
build up.
Build
up.
A lot of build up. And the reason my vote doesn't go to it is because it's going to one that actually has the relief of, okay, it's done. The build-up's done. We get to be happy. And that goes to The Dangers in My Heart Season 2. I actually watched both seasons recently, and damn, was it a good feeling when the payoff happens. Great.
Yeah, I definitely I picked Dangers in My Heart. I have a huge bias towards this. This is probably one of my favorite ongoing romance manga, and the animation has been doing a very good job adapting it. So I have no complaints there. But I've also seen the only one that I haven't actually seen here, or I'm familiar with, but I've not watched is Ranma One Half. Yeah, it was just one of the ones where it's like it has like it leads heavily into a very older style of comedy that it just doesn't appeal to me.
Fair enough, yeah. Too Many Losing Heroines was also a great series. It almost is, the point of the show is not romance, really, right? It's kind of
yeah, like to a degree.
It's like, wow, who you are as a person without needing romance or needing someone else.
Reverse romance,
if you will. So for me, I'm going to give, if we're thinking classic romance, I'm going to give it to The Dangers in My Heart Season 2, but maybe we'll see Too Many Losing Heroines again for one of my votes.
Dun, dun.
Yeah, and I will say A Sign of Affection was also pretty good. If you do happen to want to watch it, it's not bad. That one also is like a very more classic kind of romance story with like the build up and things going on, and it takes place with like college age characters as well. So we're out of the high school setting and into more of a college setting with that one.
Nice. On to Best Comedy.
Best comedy, we got Delicious in Dungeon, My Dear Friend Nokotan, Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World, Season 3, Ranma Half, Mashle, Magic and Muscles, The Divine Visionary Candidates Exam Arc, and Spy Family Season 2.
Nice.
So I can tell you which one I didn't vote for.
Yeah, Matt's a Mashle hater. Which, like, I feel like, yeah, if the humor didn't get you in Season 1, then you're really not going to be laughing in Season 2.
Yeah, I did not watch Season 2.
As Hunter said, for Ranma 1/2, if that older style doesn't fit your bill, then probably is going to win Best Comedy for you. Spy Family, I don't know if I laughed that much during Spy Family. I know it is a comedy, but I feel like I'm more just in it for, like, just how wholesome it feels.
I was gonna say, yeah, the found family aspect is the biggest draw for me for Spy Family, so I don't actually find myself, laughing per se.
Like, it's
There's
just
definitely funny
wholesome
moments, but
it makes me chuckle sometimes. I'm like, huh.
yeah.
Konosuba was solid. I mean, it was nice to finally get Season 3, and if you've seen the previous Konosuba seasons, then it's more of what you would expect. Decent, but I think for me, it's between Delicious in Dungeon and My Dear Friend Nokotan. And they're both very different styles of comedy, I'd say. One feels like a giant shitpost, and one is more like you're just kind of like... I guess for Delicious in Dungeon, it depends on what character you're kind of relating to. But some of them are very into what's going on, and some of them, the characters are very not into eating all the stuff, and that's kind of where the humor comes from. For me.
Yeah.
But I would give it to either of those. I think I did laugh during My Dear Friend Nokotan, but I don't know if I was laughing because it was funny or because it was just so ridiculous.
I would go Delicious in Dungeon. I actually did not like Nokotan at all. I did not find even the first episode funny, and then when I heard from later on that people are like, "Oh, you didn't find that episode funny, you're probably not going to find any of the show funny," and I was like, "Okay."
I think
so
that's
I just
fair.
Won't watch it.
If you didn't laugh during the first ep, then you're not going to laugh during it. I really enjoyed the song, the soundtrack for the main character whenever she's like showing up, and I found the one scene where they walk through the door frame and break everything, and there's like concrete flying around, hitting all the students and causing like some of them to be concussed and have contusions and stuff. It was just like a giant WTF is going on, and I'm laughing, but like I don't know why I'm laughing. I'll give it to the Delicious in Dungeon then. Yeah. Some of these, I mean, that's just comedy in general, right?
Yeah, it's hit and miss. It's really, if it's your kind of comedy, then you're gonna
Like
it.
Mashal, I can totally see working for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. It's just my kind of comedy,
it's fair.
personally. Moving on, we got Best Action. We got Bleach, Dan to Dan, Demon Slayer, Cadre Number 8, Soul Leveling, and Windbreaker.
New entry.
New entry.
New entry. I was gonna say we probably could try. We're almost can cut down on what we're saying about some of this other stuff. We've already been over how great
that's why
some of these
I
other
stopped
shows
saying
are.
those
I guess we should start by saying, either of you seen Windbreaker?
No, this is why I was gonna direct it towards you because you are probably the only one here who I think has seen Windbreaker.
That is correct. I have seen Windbreaker. It's another gang show, I guess. Kind of on the heels of all of the excitement or hype that was Tokyo Revengers. Windbreaker comes out. Very different style of story for sure. Kind of like this gang takes care of this city and they all go to the same school and they have like their own hierarchy and they all have the gang has all their different branches within the school and they just take care of this city from other gangs, and there ends up being some infighting as well as some other gang fighting. The biggest thing for me is if we're focusing straight on action, I thought the fight choreography was really solid. It was fluid. Not what I was expecting for if you think of gang fights.
Okay.
When I'm thinking of a gang fight, I'm thinking very like fisticuffs and
Yeah.
or grabbing a metal bat and hitting people kind of style.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
fighting.
like the delinquent style fighting that you see in
Yeah.
the other stuff like Tokyo Revengers or something.
This one had a little bit more martial arty style to the fighting for some of the characters, and it's cool to watch. Definitely
Okay.
cool to watch. It's not going to get best action, but it's worth giving it a little bit of its tip of the cap to that it was enjoyable. And season 2, I believe, is
It's
either
airing this upcoming spring season, which just started.
yeah. So catch up. It's a good time. Yeah, I guess Gray, who you giving best action to?
Yeah, it's probably more of my bias, but it's like the one that I would just lean super hard into, and I expect like more and more good things to come from. So I'm kind of just sticking around Dan to Dan, because the other thing is like the action in the show is great, and it's only about to like kind of get better.
But what about solo leveling?
But Dan to Dan's only going to get better. So.
But what about solo leveling? It's so good. It's the best anime. What was the list we just did last week? Was it not number 2 or 1?
It's number 2.
Number 2.
It was in terms of number 2, but yeah, this is also solo leveling season. This is season 1. Now don't get me like solo leveling is fine. It's probably what people are always gonna remember it for. And Dan to Dan has a lot more to it than just action, but
look, it's solo leveling's putting him to sleep.
Yep. That's a yawn.
I would put mine towards Dan to Dan or Bleach for best action.
I did vote Bleach, even though I haven't seen it. Just knowing what like the story is of a lot of these other ones, I think Bleach is known for the action, especially when you're dealing with a title of 1,000-Year Blood War.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I'm fine giving it to Bleach because we're also in the the peak. Yeah, we're in the peak.
We're getting all the Bankais. All the fans never got to see during the original series. Like, it's a lot of hype moments going on. People love Bankais.
So you know what? Yeah, I could see you guys giving it to Bleach. That's fine.
All right, sounds good. Moving on.
Best Isekai. Matt's favorite.
My favorite.
What he's trying to make his favorite.
I'm trying my best. We got Konosuba season 3, Shangri-La Frontier season 2, the Suicide Squad Isekai.
Oh God.
Mushoku Tensei.
Mushoku Tensei, yeah.
Jobless Reincarnation season 2, Core 2. ReZero season 3, and then that time I got reincarnated as a slime season 3.
We got a couple of heavy hitters in the Isekai genre.
I agree. Suicide Squad.
That's the one I was thinking of.
That's the one.
I mean, was by Wit Studio. I do like most of what Wit puts out.
Keyword most.
For me, this was a lot easier than most. I guess if you want to say it's between 2 for me, it would be ReZero and Mushoku Tensei. I give it to ReZero it's
your baby.
I just have loved it since the first season, and it just feels like when you think of classic isekai, this is a classic isekai. As for Mushoku Tensei,
keep going. I'll add something later.
I think Mushoku Tensei is absolutely an unreal show. But I feel like and this goes for Konosuba as well, you almost need other isekai under your belt to appreciate how unique and good Mushoku Tensei is. And for me, season 2, core 2, there's just some things I really didn't like from the story in when it came to the end. So that and ReZero, I just have no complaints. Great, take it away.
So yeah, what I was going to say about like ReZero in particular is it's one of the isekai that I feel makes the most use of the setting. And that's why it'll always just continue probably as long as it's going so far. It's the one that's used the setting to like the best degree, where it's like Subaru for the most part is a regular dude. He doesn't get to do all that much. He is forced. Like, he does have some unique powers. That's the classic isekai trope. But for most intents and purposes, in terms of like power scaling within the universe, he's a weak ass dude.
He's a normie and he has, in a magical world,
and he has to make it work. And all the psychological damage and stuff that comes from with that, he has to carry that with him.
Yeah, he's
where a lot of the other isekais, including some of the ones on this list, including Mushoku Tensei, which I do think does at least the isekai trope for pretty well overall, and then Slime, like both of those, your character is broken. That's like that's part of their thing.
Yeah, like Slime,
and that's the thing. Subaru's broken in a different sense, but like he's not the most powerful thing. He can't use brute force to make everything work for him.
Yeah, Slime is also I don't even know how much reference other than like creating manga for people really gets reference to the outside world unless someone else comes from the original world that the main character is from.
No, it's more like the business idea sense and the building of an economy kind of thing is what comes from
the main
outside.
Character from Mushoku Tensei mentally is affected by some stuff from their previous life. So it makes a lot of reference to that character's previous life and how it impacts some of the decisions they make within their new life, but also kind of almost like PTSD in some cases. So it is a very cool story. If you have not watched Mushoku Tensei or ReZero or That Time I Return is Live, they're all great shows. But yeah, I'm gonna give it to ReZero.
Yeah, and then we do to get a shout out here for Shangri-La Frontier, which I think this is season 2. I've only watched season 1, and this is like a more classic take from what I understand, unless it changes later on, of like just a guy playing video games and it's him playing a video game. It's him playing like an MMO, like a newer MMO. And that's it. It's like him like doing the Sword Art Online virtual headgear. He's not stuck in the world. He's not this and that. He does get unique MMO events that other people don't get, which I guess that's the way to like make him overpowered. But that's it. So it is just like a video game one, but it's like really well animated. That's one of the things about it, where it's just like it is a very pretty show.
Best drama.
We got A Sign of Affection, Oshinoku Season 2, Dead Demons, DDDD Destruction, Pluto, Freerin, and The Apothecary Diaries.
So, again, I could talk about like the newer shows here that have been mentioned. Yep. Obviously, no one here. And the thing is, this is also like a super silent release that most people probably didn't even know come out, which is Dead Demons. This is Inyo Asano work, if you know who that is. Like anyone who reads manga probably knows of Inyo Asano, especially like the most well-known titles like Oyasumi Punpun, like Goodnight Punpun. This was their most recent work. They have a new recent work now, but because this is a little bit older, but I mean, yeah. So this is like 12 volumes. I had watched a good portion. I have to finish this. I'm actually still in the middle of watching it. But is one that I feel like is going to skirt under people's radar because it didn't receive the same amount of hype or anything that anything else did.
What
coming
season
out
did this one come out? I don't even recall. Was it maybe in like the
It was one of the things that was I think it's considered like an ONA, right? It was like an original net anime, not a TV one. So let me think. I'll actually just look that up if you guys want to talk about some of the other things here, and I'll get back to you.
So Oceanoko Season 2, feel like, yep, that's a fitting drama. Some of these do fit in other categories. Freeman being best drama. Yeah, like obviously there are some very, I don't even know what I would like. It's a fantasy drama
Yeah.
slice of, like, there's so much going on throughout this story. I feel like nailing it down to just drama is not what the story truly is. Maybe Apothecary Diaries I feel like is pretty much a drama through and through with some mystery elements. Yeah, Matt, I guess you only have
I don't
Free
really.
Reign.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really know too much about these other ones.
Yeah, for me, I lean towards the Apothecary Diaries just because I feel like it fits what a drama is the best. At least like coming from Western dramas. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, I think I saw a video of, or maybe it was in a Giguk video, but I think maybe it was from their podcast Trash Taste, where he talks about how he's been an anime YouTuber forever, like whatever, like a decade. Like he's one of the OG anime YouTubers, and his parents don't watch anime. And he's obviously probably tried.
Yeah.
And his mom or his dad does, like his dad will watch whatever he's watching if they're together. His mom no. And his mom cranked out the Apothecary Diaries.
Dang.
So, and I think she usually is like watching like, like K-dramas or stuff like that. And
Yeah.
And she got hooked on Apothecary Diaries. So I feel like,
That's
maybe
a
it's
sign.
got some good elements to entice. And maybe and maybe it could be a new entry anime for people that you can't recommend a shonen to.
Yeah.
They'd be like, hey, like you like drama and mystery, maybe you might like this.
Yeah, so the Dead Demons came out in spring 2024, but since it was ONA, it takes a good long while to accumulate the episodes.
Mhm.
So it like finished in like September.
Oh, wow, okay.
But queuing in on that, like I do love the Apothecary Diaries. It does hit me harder as a mystery solve it kind of show than it does a drama. And the reason I'll just throw in Dead Demons in there, even though it probably won't win, but I would talk about in terms of like drama. Inyo Asano's known for his like human drama,
Yeah,
and Dead Demons like hits those notes where you're just like, oh god, like you're really thinking about what the heck's going on and how the people are acting and everything. So,
well, we can do one vote each,
that's
and
what I'll say.
then Matt, you want to pull up a randomizer, 1 to 3. We'll do 1 Dead Demons, 2 Free Reign, and 3 the Apothecary Diaries.
All right. Just gonna roll a D3 here.
I feel like we're all okay with either one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have no qualms about any of those. I was just heck, even if you guys want, or I guess you guys are kind of split, right? So that's the thing.
Mhm.
I could see it going to like Apothecary Diaries, like for sure.
Number is 3.
Okay, Apothecary Diaries it is.
There you go.
All right, moving on here. We got best slice of life.
I don't think mystery is a category. That's unfortunate because it would be easier to kind of.
Yeah, which is it's a little bit straight. You get a lot of mystery shows in like for like Western TV.
Yeah,
but,
I think it's
like
just that
crime shows.
I think a lot of anime, it's like, unless it's hardcore mystery, a lot of time it's like it's this with some mystery elements, right? Like some,
mystery elements.
not necessarily a full-on mystery, I guess.
Which
That's
is
slice
funny.
of
I don't know.
life.
I like when shows include a lot of stuff, but the funniest thing is like the mystery aspects of Apothecary Diary actually do stick out. Like I'm pretty
Well,
sure
you're interested, right? Like you're.
even as a genre listed, I think it is listed as a mystery.
Oh, I'm sure there is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, slice of life, Matt. Do you want to break down what a slice of
Yeah,
life
I'm
is?
going to read the description here. While these anime focus on everyday events, the best are anything but ordinary. Capturing quiet moments in breathtaking ways, these nominees provide relief from the frantic pace of the world, placing relationships with all their emotion, humor, and heartbreak front and center. And our nominations are Laid Back Camp Season 3, My Dear Friend Nokotan, Makin Too Many Losing Heroines, Mr. Villain's Day Off, Sound Euphonium 3, and then The Dangers in My Heart Season 2.
Now, Matt, you do not have a ton of full-on slice of lives under your belt.
No, but my answer is going to be picked between 2 based on ones that you guys have talked about, which we've talked about off the podcast and stuff like that.
Okay. My vote for this slice of life, and I mentioned it, I had some foreshadowing, if you will, is gonna go to Too Many Losing Heroines. For it was just a very cute, also emotional, but also inspiring in some ways to the way some of the characters get through their hardships, if you will, of and one admitting and confessing their love quotations or who they like, maybe dealing with the rejection and also realizing like you're your own person, you don't need someone else,
Yeah.
I think that's a very inspiring thing to be like, love who you are first. You don't need someone else. And, there's a lot of others out there that, talk to people.
Exactly.
They can help you through. Great.
For me, I actually didn't like a lot of the picks in this category. Granted, I'm not sure what I would replace them with. I would actually have to take some time to think about that. But when it came to me, there were really only two options, mainly because I haven't seen any laid back camp.
Yep.
To really formulate too much
It
of an
does
opinion
sound
on
like
that.
the most slice of life thing ever,
Laid back.
but it's
camp.
on season
yes.
3 and I have not seen the previous season. So
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was like steering away from that. But then, Dangers in My Heart is a romance. I mean, it does have like a lot of slice of life elements to it, more so than others, because it is like relatively slow paced.
Yep.
Um,
I think season 1 is a better slice of life. Maybe. I don't know if that's a hot take. Season 2 felt more heavily like the romance, and season 1 is kind of the story of the character finding out what exactly they're feeling in general.
Yeah, it's just I think none of that's the thing. A lot of these don't even have. I don't even think if we were to look them up, I don't think they're even tagged in certain genres that it even is a slice of life. Other than like laid back camp for sure. I don't know about Mr. Villain's Day Off. Sound Euphonium maybe, because that's also kind of that's the thing. We got like some of the like cute girls doing cute things style shows here, which typically are slice of life. But the ones I find myself leaning towards, just because
just what you enjoy,
they're just I was gonna say they're just well done. It's like Dangers in My Heart and Machine. Those be the two. I think on my personal one I voted Dangers in My Heart, but I could see it going to either or.
I think we gave Dangers in My Heart the romance, right?
Yeah.
So let's give Too Many Losing Heroines the slice of life then.
Perfect. Next up, we got Best Main Character.
Best main
Other
character.
hero, anti-hero, villain, main character is the face of their series. Okay, we got Frieren.
Wow.
From, you guessed it,
Frieren.
Frieren. Kafka Hibino from Kaiju number 8. Momo from Dan to Dan. We also have Okarun from Dan to Dan. Is this
Mao Mao.
Mao Mao from Apothecary Diaries, and then Sung Jin Woo from Solo Leveling.
Sung Jin Woo, the Aura Farmer himself.
Yep. I'm really curious what you guys put for this one.
I think Connor and I put the same for this, but
for best main character, for my own personal ballot, I did put Mao Mao from the Apothecary Diaries. I'm not falling for no aura farming guy, Not gonna fall for it.
Yep.
yeah, there's four picks here that I think are generally really, really good. But the thing is, especially after you read the description where I'm like, the face of their series, like, to me, it's still like a very standout where it's like, as you can see, how can you really be the face of your series if you're both the face of your series? Like Momo and Okura they're both the same. They're both the face of the series. You can't just pick one of them.
Yeah, together they're the face.
And then Frieren is, she is like obviously runs her. She's the main focal point.
Yep.
But there's
It's a
times
group.
where I'm like, I was gonna say there's times where it's like you can lean into her party quite a bit, where it's just like Fern and stuff.
Yeah, sometimes
like,
Frieren's
their
just
weight.
sleeping.
It's true.
So I lean hard towards like Mao Mao, because in terms of like the Apothecary Diaries, without like Mao Mao is so pivotal that I'm like, she kind of runs the show. You only really like the other characters because when they're interacting with Mao Mao, and you're just like, oh yeah, well I shouldn't say that. The other characters are fine, but she does run the show a lot.
What about Sung Jin Woo though? He's
Who?
definitely the face of his show.
Is there other characters in that show? That's
I
not
think
fair.
the ladies
Oh, there's ladies.
and the S
I think it's so.
classes.
Isn't it the whole thing solo? Isn't he solo?
He's leveling
So
solo.
so it's just him. So there isn't anybody else.
I just the reason for my vote for best main character going to Mao Mao is that there's a lot more depth with the character. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Sung Woo is just it could have been any character that you just gave that brokenness to and just been like pop off king. You know what I mean? Like it's just reskinned Gojo or reskinned like insert broken character here, right?
Yeah.
Like and watch them fight and get broken. Is he like a great main character?
No.
He's just the tool. He's the tool to watch the cool action.
Literally is though.
Not that I don't like it.
No, it's fair.
And I think Gray's the same. Gray owns the manhwa, right?
Yeah. I have all the copies that are out in English so far.
I just think as a character, Mao Mao is more enjoyable.
Mao it is. Next up, we got best supporting character.
Oh!
Whoa.
Oh my gosh, we got both
Here we
Turbo
go.
Granny. That's
We
my
got two characters from Free. We got Fern and Himmel. We got Jinshi from Apothecary Diaries. Then from Dan to Dan, we have Turbo Granny and Psycho. And then for Delicious and Dungeon, we got Senshi.
So
Felt a
well,
little
as we
weak.
can
So
see,
some of these nominees, to be honest, Himmel
I'm
is
gonna
interesting.
So
Himmel is
Granny.
Himmel is actually like a fan favorite for the series. People love Himmel.
He's so good. He's so pure.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's just aspects to him. You know, he's the hero.
Yeah, he is. The hero.
I mean, the hero. I mean, he's the part of the heroes party. They're all technically heroes, but he's the titular quote unquote hero, the hero Himmel. And I think it's just the matter of like all the scenes with Himmel and Frieren together, like is like super endearing and heartfelt. Like you do get
whenever
like,
it becomes to like Frieren having like emotions, it feels like it's always because she has a
Connected to
flashback looking with something to do with Himmel.
yeah. So like in all honesty, I think Himmel's like a pretty strong pick. It's not what I personally picked, but I could see a lot of people picking Himmel.
I
But the
just
funniest
like
thing is, as you can
Frieren.
see, we don't have
like
too much of a
Fern.
split. We don't have much of a split here. We got
We got 4 shows.
six. Yeah, I was gonna say 4 shows across six nominees. So
I do like Fern. I think she's fun, funny, serious when she needs to.
well, it's like this is why it's like Frieren in general. It covers so many bases. Like all the characters of Frieren are good and it's always just good. It showed that like
they're all providing
Frieren
something
is all-
for the series, right? Like Fern
Yeah,
is
and it's
almost
like-
like the person.
every interaction that Frieren has with those characters is meaningful in most ways. Like even Fern's relationship with Frieren and Fern's relationship with Heiter before that was always just like, oh yeah, okay. Like everything kind of just falls in place and everyone performs their roles and everything makes sense. And you're just like, okay, I can see them being.
How about the
very
2
good.
grandmas?
Yeah, I voted Sayako. Yet again, I just have like a giant bias to Dan, but like everything
I don't know
Sayako
if
does
that's
is
what
just
it is. You have to
amazing.
try something else, maybe.
No, it's Turbo great. No, but like
Mine goes
everything...
to Turbo Granny for Gray's reason.
Yeah, totally.
For the
But no,
Gray's
like
reason,
seriously,
it goes to Turbo
anytime
Granny.
Sayako's in the scene, it's just like hilarious that she's obviously been through a lot of shit before, and she's just kind of just like, Momo could deal with this now.
It just
It's not my
I
problem to
feel,
deal with it.
I guess what is the character providing? I guess is what we're. Like you said, obviously, when it comes to Frieren, you could almost put every big side character in this, and they would all be fair in their own right.
If you go based on the description of what they say for best supporting character, that last part there, among them can shine as brightly as their main character counterparts when called upon.
When called upon. Then I'm leaning towards either Fern or Jinchi.
I would say Fern then.
Yeah.
Because Apothecary Diaries, Jinchi does add this element of mystery, element of playfulness, I guess is also a good term. There's a lot going on with that character in the series. But Fern is, she's almost like the other side of the coin for Frieren, if you will.
They play off of each other, which is good.
Well, yeah, the more responsible,
Yeah,
but younger.
very
The older
much
sister.
younger.
Yeah.
The older sister, quote unquote.
Next category up, we got must protect at all costs character. These are the characters that make the world feel like a kinder, more special place, whether they're an earnest protagonist who always gets back up or a pure-hearted cinnamon roll who holds a group together. These characters remind us that there are some things in life worth protecting. We got Anya from Spy Family. We got Frieren from Frieren. Okrun from Danadan. We got Senshi from Delicious in Dungeon. We got Tokiyuki.
Tokiyuki Hojo.
Yes. From which anime is that?
That's from Elusive Samurai.
Samurai. And then Yuki Itsu?
Tose, maybe?
Tose?
Itose, yeah.
From
That's
A Sign of Affection.
This one was actually really easy for me. Looking back, maybe you could argue some other ones, but one, we got a different anime. We got the Elusive Samurai,
Yep.
which they have the main character in here as the character to protect at all costs, which is kind of the whole point of the anime because they're kind of like the heir to the kingdom or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the whole point is kind of to protect them at all costs. Frieren is interesting because yeah, she is adorable and funny and interesting, but Frieren can protect herself quite well, to be honest. I feel like Senshi is a little bit of a more of a Mimi kind of like protect at all costs vote. My vote easily goes to Anya.
I would agree with that because, you know, like, especially with her, like, the wholesomeness of the show, I think that just really plays into, like, protect at all costs and her trying to, like, protect her family and everything like that. And like it says, it makes the world feel like a kinder, more special place.
Right?
This category's stupid.
So your vote is Anya?
Yes.
Anya it is. All right, moving on. Best anime song.
So this is, unfortunately, these are all openings. I think I double checked. I'm pretty sure they're all openings. And the next one is best opening sequence. So take into consideration here, lads, that we're going to vote on which song we like the best. And then for the next one, we'll vote on what we think had the best sequence, which is the song combined with all of the visuals.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So best anime song, we got Abyss from
Kaiju number 8.
From Kaiju number 8. We got Level from Solo Leveling. Bling Bang Bang Born from Masho.
Mm-hmm.
Otonoke from Dandadan. Fatal from Oshinoku. And then The Brave from Frieren.
Now, one of these songs absolutely exploded in terms of if you want to talk about viralness and on TikTok and whatnot, and that was Bling Bang Bang Born by Creepy Nuts for the Mashal opening.
Yep.
But for me, I actually liked the other Creepy Nuts song in this, which is the opening for Dandadan. I actually enjoyed this opening more as a song.
I'm cheating a little bit here because I just didn't want to give two votes to the same things, so my vote would be different. Because
so you're saying that you want to give
I know things ahead of the next category.
Okay. So we can say we already know that it's the best sequence. So you want to give Dandadan the sequence vote is what you're saying.
Yeah. It might creep up later, so I'm probably not voting Dandadan one for this, despite the fact I do love the song.
Matt, are you in agreement on that, though?
Yeah.
Do you think the Dandadan sequence was the best?
Yeah, for opening sequences and stuff.
All right, so best song then. I'm okay with going with Abyss.
Works for me. That's what I voted.
Great.
Okay, you guys voted Abyss.
Yeah.
I did vote the other Creepy Nuts song, but I also just, I like I like Creepy Nuts as a band.
So we're gonna jump to
Abyss was good. In all honesty, probably after those two, I would actually put Abyss because they didn't put my preferred Frieren opening in this. So.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. So we'll do best opening sequence next, and then we'll jump back.
Best opening sequence. Boom. Dandadan. I guess we'll go over quickly what there was. We had Abyss again, Fatal again. We had Bling Bang Bang Born again, Level again. But this time we had us for One Piece. Which I
Yeah,
did go
wow.
back and watched all of these just to kind of see what I was looking at for the actual visuals.
Mhm.
And they are nice visuals for One Piece, but yeah, I think the Dandadan ones were great.
I would agree with that. Jumping into best ending
No,
sequence.
best score.
We're doing jump back to score.
We gotta go back. We gotta go backwards.
Gotta
now.
go back.
Score.
Gotta go back.
All right. Best score. We got Bleach, Dan, Freerun, Look Back, Soul Leveling, Demon Slayer.
No Demon Slayer for me.
No.
For me, I think Solo Leveling does have a very solid OST. Memorable. I think memorable is pretty important sometimes for when you think of OSTs. If you can actually pinpoint and be like, oh yeah, this song. I mean, well, like
Yeah,
for me,
remembering more than just the song,
like thinking
or
of, like,
more than just the
Naruto and
the ending and stuff.
some
Yeah,
of the Naruto and One Piece themes that you learn to love throughout the series. I think Solo Leveling has kind of figured out that it's kind of gotten its own for some sections. That being said, there's only a set few amount of soundtracks that I'm like, oh yeah, I love that. Whereas something like Freerun, I like the whole. Nothing is out of place.
No, I Freerun just it really puts you in the world.
Yes.
I think that's the simplest way to put it. Which I think is the whole point of score for a movie, for a show, is that it really needs to help you put you into that universe.
Great.
For me, there was really only like two super amazing choices here, which was Dandadan or Freerun. But I do probably agree that I ended up with more of the Freerun songs, just kind of stuck in my head and or fitting situations better.
Yep.
Overall.
All right, so we'll give it to Freerun, and now we're jumping to ending sequence.
Best ending sequence, yeah.
Any sequence.
Which is we have Anatanate from Ranma 1/2. We have Burning from Oshinoku. Kamakura Style from The Elusive Samurai. Ta Dada from Dandadan. Request for Soul Leveling. And then Nobody from Kaiju number 8.
This one was pretty easy for me. It goes to Kaiju number 8.
Yes.
It was One Republic.
Yeah, can't
Which-
go wrong with that.
And 2, the sequence was actually just fun. It's they pull up like a computer and they pull up the folder and they're just looking at all the images of like during the training for all the the cadets, and
Yeah.
it was a really nice sequence.
Yeah, I don't disagree. There's
Second is
some of the end.
the Dandadan one, which is like we're watching Turbo Granny just like run around and it's like it's just kind of like
Well, yeah, it was like Turbo Granny doing their own thing. It's actually based on a side. It's like a side chapter, like a 0.5 chapter in the manga, where Turbo Granny picks up a cat
okay, yeah,
to bring back to to bring back to Psycho, and it's like Turbo Granny initially was like, I don't want to watch this cat or whatever, but then she ends up just bringing it back to Psycho, and Psycho's like, you're gonna have to take care of it, you know. And then Turbo Granny gets kind of like
attached.
a little bit amiss about it, but then she does it anyway. She kind of takes care of the cat for a bit, and I think they end up. I'm not sure if they rehome it or whatever. It's only like a 0.5 chapter, but that's kind of where that ending comes from.
Alrighty. On to best voice artist performance.
Japanese.
Japanese.
This is gonna. So first up, we have the Japanese voice of Mamao,
Yep.
which is
Mao.
Ao Yuki
Mhm.
from Apothecary Diaries. Next up, we have the voice of Freerun from obviously Freerun, which is Atsumi Tanizaki. Then we have a new entry, which is from a show Brave Bang Brevern, which is the voice of Brevern, which is Kenichi Sazumara. And then we have 2 from Dandadan. One is the voice of Momo, which is Shion Wakayama, and the other one is the voice of Okron, which is Natsuki Hene. And then the last one is the voice of Marcel from Delicious in Dungeon, which is Sayaka Sembonji.
Sure.
Close enough?
I like how we're just letting Matt read all the Japanese.
I'm trying my best here, man.
He's suffering over
He's
there.
gonna be fluent soon
Yes.
enough.
But just on Japanese names. Nothing else.
Yeah. Just double checking. I think all the voice actors from the shows I've seen, I felt like they were very solid. To say, which is all of them except for the Mecha show.
Yeah, I was gonna say this show kind of creeped out of nowhere. I was like, oh yeah, this show. I don't know anything about it.
It's a mecha, obviously.
Gotta have one mecha on.
Got
Yeah,
some
that's probably
Gundam
why.
looking.
That's probably why I know nothing about it. I don't find if it's not been said before. I don't actually find mechas generally all that interesting, especially as like a center focus of the show. That's why I watched some of the mecha shows that don't have that as like the center focus. You know.
For me, it's between Aoyuki and Atsumi Tanizaki for Frieren and for Mao Mao. Those are my top two, I think, for the Japanese voice actor.
Yeah, I'll go with Aoyuki, but like like I think we're with the amount of praise we've been giving Frieren, it's a little suspicious. But no, after all, we also did give like Mao Mao best character, and I do feel it's like
Part of
how
that
much can you?
the,
Yeah, I was gonna say the voice is half
Voice
half the
delivery is
battle.
important.
You got the
Yeah.
visuals, and you have to have the voice to go with it to to encapsulate everything.
Yeah, to really bring the character to life. If you do a
Yeah.
bad job, then people might not like the character as much. So I think
Yeah.
that's fair.
Exactly. Which then moves into the next category of best voice artist performance in English. We got AJ Beckles who voices Akrun from Dan to Dan. We have Alex Lee, who voices
Lee.
Sung Jin Woo from Solo Leveling. We got Jesse James Grell from Attack on Titan, the final season, the final chapter, Special 2.
Special too.
Yeah, it's got to get the whole thing in there. We have the voice of Frieren, which is Mallory Rodak. And then we have the voice of Ayla from Ayla Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian, which is Sarah Nakocheni. And then we have the voice of Senshi from Delicious in Dungeon, which is Sunwon Cho.
I'm not gonna lie. In general, I don't think I mean, I'm familiar with Armin's voice actor because this show has been going on for
Forever.
a long time, and I don't think that is changed. I think it's the same.
Correct.
So I've heard this in English, but there's two shows here that I didn't even try like the English dub. I actually haven't finished the dub for any of these shows. Or sorry, I finished the dub for one of these shows.
I've seen episodes of dubbed for majority of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I haven't finished any, but I've seen parts of them. Yeah, so I have at least heard the characters, and they all seem very fitting. Like I don't really have an issue with any of the dubbed voices here.
Yeah, I think Mallory did a great job for Frieren. She really got that like monotone, like I don't care
It's
kind
like
of
a
vibe.
weird because it's also kind of peaceful. Like it's a
Yeah.
peaceful monotone
Yeah.
voice.
She I think she nailed that.
I mean, Alex Lee got that annoying main character voice down.
Yeah, I think I mean, if I'm giving my vote, I probably am leaning towards Alex Lee. I think he did a great job. He also was really having a fun time with the character.
I love some of the behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Is
he
funny
clearly
as heck.
knew how much people loved the show and the character, and he was having a really great time with it. And that's also just fun to see how someone loves their job and he puts a lot of passion into it. And I think he sounded great. He fit the character. He was just as good at just aura farming, you know, like he has that very deep, nice voice that just fits. So I'm okay with giving my vote to Alex Lee.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Perfect. And then
Now we have to go back to the beginning.
the last category, the category we've all been waiting for.
Dun 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 dun.
I'm gonna read the description for this. The anime of the
No,
year.
it's there, but
These anime set the standards for all other shows in the last year. The compelling stories, beautiful executions, and unforgettable characters weave together elements that create true masterpieces deserving of distinguished recognition. Whether it emerged as an unexpected gem or met the high expectations of dedicated fans, the show selected for Anime of the Year showcases the very best of storytelling and creativity in the medium, leaving a lasting impact on the audiences everywhere.
And it's worth noting that we had some really great anime last year.
Yes. The 6 that are up for the Anime of the Year nomination is Dan to Dan, Delicious in Dungeon, Free Run Beyond Journey's End, Kaiju number 8, Soul Leveling, and the Apothecary Diaries.
Yeah.
Well,
Some great
post
shows.
in the comments what you think. You guys are gonna. What do you think we're gonna guess based on the fact that on our earliest statement before we went into everything?
Yep. True. I will say, in my opinion, if there was no free run, I think it goes to the Apothecary Diaries. I just think that unfortunate timing. I just think it ended up having to compete against what has dethroned Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood on my anime list.
It's true.
And not just dethroned. There's been anime that have dethroned it for
A little
a
bit,
bit,
and
then
then
it ends
bounces
up
back.
Yeah, and then it's dropping.
Yeah.
We are over a year past free run airing, and it's holding
still
really
up there.
strong. It's got over 1 million people that have seen the show now on my anime list specifically.
Yeah.
And it's still holding strong above. And I'm not, I don't want to say that my anime list is the end all be all when it comes to rankings, but it does go to show if there's 1 million people ranking it highly, it's probably
halfway is decent.
probably
at least.
good. So that's why I think unanimously we're all gonna pick Free Run for anime of the year.
Yeah. How does it make you feel
yeah,
about
in
Dandadan
terms
on
of-
here, though?
Well, no, there's a lot of good picks on here. Well, I'm always happy to. There's 3 that I'm happy to see here because they're definitely some of the anime I enjoyed most over the year, which is Dandadan, Frieren, and Apothecary Diaries. But when it comes to the stuff, like, I've rewatched Frieren both in dub and sub. So I've seen, like, the show over the year. I've already seen the show a total of like 3 times or more in terms of in other bits. So
And
that
it's
just
a
goes to show.
really
I
good
actually,
show.
I've also rewatched the Apothecary Diaries
Fair.
or another time as well. So in preparation for, because it had a second season coming out as well. So there's no complaints about either. To be honest, either of these two. But I think Frieren just kind of stands like kind of shoulders above. Like, it blew up, and then it's not only blew up, it also has stayed up.
Yep. Exactly. Matos did a great job. Hopefully season 2 can live up to this incredibly high standard that it's put up for itself now. And I'll put the vote in. Boom.
Boom. Diggity.
Whew.
So, how many votes does Freerun have from our list here?
Give me a moment.
I think we didn't give it too much. I think it was
gave it, like,
probably
3 or 4?
3. We gave it like anime of the year.
Okay, I got it.
I think we gave
He's
it.
got
I think
the-
we gave it best score.
We have given it 4 awards.
4 awards.
4
Okay.
awards.
Anime of the year.
Yep.
Best animation. Best supporting
animation,
character. And best score.
supporting character, and best score. Yeah, okay.
Makes sense to me.
We have 5 for the Apothecary Diaries.
Okay.
Best character design, best background art, best drama, best main character, and best voice artist Japan.
Nice.
Any other dupes? We got Dan, which had both best new series as well as best opening sequence.
Well, and yet again, I don't think it's too shocking. We don't to see some of these when we were literally just saying of the ones in the anime of the year category. Those are probably the 3 standouts for us.
Mhm.
I do think we ended up spreading the love, though. We've got a good amount of different series being represented, even if there are a few duplicates.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But-
I would prefer, the duplicates. They do just kind of creep up, especially because we have 6 things to vote off of,
Yeah.
and they're not always unique, right?
And that's the thing. Maybe
You saw that the same stuff was just plastered throughout here over and over and over again.
The other
with
thing
the ones
is-
that we've
if you were to narrow down 6 for some of those, maybe you'd have a completely different 6, right? 1, based on what you've seen, and 2, obviously based on your own bias, just what you enjoy. Obviously,
Yep.
you're going to have a different 6 that are there. But yeah, there are a lot of repeats in a lot of the voting, which is both good and bad. Obviously, it represents like some of the series deservingly are there. I do think that maybe something like Demon Slayer probably ended up being in a lot of votes that maybe it was only there based on its old like name alone even.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's also that's where it feels like where I'm like, man, no, it's just like a
'Cause-
whole vote or we're pretty much down to 5 votes because I don't think there was never a contention where it's like, yeah, Demon Slayer's good, but I didn't feel like I wanted to put it in any of these categories.
Well, it was also its weakest arc, one of its weakest arcs, in my opinion. And people were still putting it up here is a little crazy to me. But what did you guys vote? Feel free to send or post your Crunchyroll Anime Award voter ballots in our Discord. That's in our link tree in the description
You
down
got
below.
until April 14th to vote. Right on.
You
the
can vote every day.
Every day for your favorite anime.
So maybe if you are on the fence, maybe you just swap on.
Go
your
back the
vote.
next day and change it up. You know, you got until February 14th, like we said, and then the Crunchyroll Anime Awards will premiere on May 25th of this year, obviously. So yeah, so stay tuned for an episode about that. Let us know what you guys thought about the Crunchyroll Awards.
We'll probably have Gray back on to look at both our ballot. We'll save our ballot so we can look and compare, and we'll discuss. Don't forget to check out Gray. He has a YouTube channel. We'll put it in the description down below. And yeah, feel free to comment below why we're wrong, as per usual.
Exactly. Thanks again, Gray, for coming on. And
Thanks for having
everyone
me.
else, we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast. Don't forget to join the island by dropping a follow. Thank you, and see you next week.